Hello and welcome back to F1 22 Driver Career Mode. My name is Chris and today we're headed to Canada. Now last time out we were in Baku and it was an interesting race. We managed to finish second, I think, but we had just no pace next to the Red Bull, which we have managed to have as the season's been progressing. But of course everybody's making steps, everybody's developing, so yeah, the Red Bull was just so much quicker. Max Verstappen started way down the grid after a penalty, got all the way back up to P3, got himself a podium. Sergio Perez finished first, and of course we finished in that Red Bull sandwich. Pierre Gasly, though, in the McLaren, got himself a fastest lap. He had a difficult race. I think he picked up damage sort of halfway through. He was starting way further up the order, but yeah, it was a consolation, I suppose. But he finished P16, so no point for that. Anyway, looking at developments, we are actually now in the fourth fastest car as we head into Canada. But the gap is so small, I don't really think it's going to make too much of a difference, especially because qualifying is wet, and it's full wet. We tend to show some pace in the wet, so this should be interesting. Let's see what we've got. Onto the track then for the first time in qualifying. And it'll be our first flying lap. We are the last person to start one, I think. Having said that, Tsunoda comes out and almost gets right in our way, so that can't be true. Bit of a shaky start to the lap, but still setting decent pace so far as we come through the final chicane and up towards the line. What are we going to set as our benchmark? A 1:23.7, and that's good enough for P5. We can do better than that. And we go for a cool down lap and straight back out again. Purple first sector, big wobble on the way out of that chicane, but we are still improving by nearly 2 seconds as we headed into the hairpin, but we lose all of that because we went super deep. Should get a nice run out of it though. And yeah, the time is coming back. The track is obviously getting drier, which is always a good thing. Into the chicane, over the curbs.
Okay, just 2 laps of fuel remaining now.
And up to the line. Where's that going to put us? P1. Huge improvement. A little bit later on in the session though, and everybody started going out on inters, so I thought, well, we better do the same. And it's a good job we did, because we got pushed all the way down. We probably would have just about been safe, but we went out again just to be sure. Plenty of tyres, of course, and we finished the session at the top, which is always what we like to see. Here we go then, Q1. Carlos Sainz in second, almost 2.5 tenths, just over 2.5 tenths away from us. So pace is looking good if it stays wet, but I don't know if it's going to. Lance Stroll then knocked out. Daniel Ricciardo, Sebastian Vettel, Lando Norris and Nicolas Latifi as well. Not a good qualifying for Lando Norris in that McLaren, given that the McLaren jumped us in the R&D chart, so they should be up there fighting.
And that's the fastest lap so far. Well done.
Starting as we mean to go on then in Q2, setting the fastest lap to get ourselves into P1, knocked down to P6 because the track is dry. And there are some shenanigans going out here. The team have let us out at a terrible time. We're in tons of traffic. Verstappen there, Albon there as well, flying through, and then they just don't want to go. They want to try and let us go, but then they're trying to start their laps, and there goes Tsunoda, big crash. And that will ruin his day somewhat, I would imagine. Give the team a lot of work to do before the Grand Prix tomorrow, but Perez goes through. We give him a little bit of space, and here comes our teammate, of all people, to obstruct the start of our lap. It was Ocon. Not only that, but he overtook us under yellow flag. Anyway, we move. 2 tenths up so far into turn 1. The one good thing about Ocon being just ahead of us is we're going to get a nice big toe down here on the way down into the last corner. So out the hairpin, decent-ish exit, 4.2 seconds up on our inters time, which is obviously what you'd expect. Only green sectors though, no purples so far. What we're going to do into the last corner. Keeping the speed through there and up towards the line. 5 seconds improvement. What's it going to be good for though? 10th. We just made it into Q3. That was pure luck, and certainly wasn't helped by the shenanigans at the start of our lap. But anyway, Max Verstappen only 6th, so was just a bit of a messy session, wasn't it, really? Anyway, on to Q3, and we're just chilling. Sergio Perez currently at the top of the times. We have set a lap, and we are 4/1000ths of a second behind Perez. And this is our last lap then. This is all or nothing. Almost a 10th up out of turn 1. Bit of a wiggle. It's going to scrub off some of that time saved, but it's alright. I've got the confidence that we can bring it back as we head further into the lap. And as we do so, I'm going to be quiet and let you enjoy it. Through the final corner then, and we've done a purple sector 1, a green sector 2, 2/10 up so far. What's it going to be good enough for though? As we come across the line, P2. Do you know what? Going into this weekend, I was a little worried from the R&D chart, but we have nothing to worry about by the looks of it. 3/100ths away from Max Verstappen, who starts on pole tomorrow. Sergio Perez just behind us, so a bit of a Red Bull sandwich, but I reckon if we can get a good start, we could be in for a race win here. Esteban Ocon, our teammate, all the way down in P7, and Haas of Alonso keeps making his way into Q3.
It's time once again then to go racing here in Montreal, the second largest French-speaking city in the world, and home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. It's a tricky circuit to tackle in wet conditions, with top speed still of critical importance down the long back straight. There are 2.7 miles and 14 corners overall on this circuit that in the dry can see average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour. We'll be lucky to get anywhere near that today. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Marshall completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Russell, Pierre Gasly and Ocon, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Leclerc and Kevin Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Schwartzman, Yuki Tsunoda and Stroll. Hamilton, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ricciardo, Alex Albon, they've taken a grid penalty, and Sebastian Vettel, Norris and Nicolas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Okay, how was that pull away? You'll have a bit more grip than that on the start, but we need to warm the tyres properly now. Make sure you get some heat into the brakes as well.
Bit of a suck it and see scenario for strategy today, starting on the intermediate tyre, just behind Max Verstappen, who of course is on pole position. It's due to dry up later on though, so it's going to be an interesting one, I think. So we take our grid slot, pointing ourselves right in the path of Verstappen. George Russell in P4, Sergio Perez just there in P3. This start's going to be crucial as we wait for the 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Canadian Grand Prix. Bit of a slow start for us, but we managed to keep the traction in check, and we're back up to speed pretty quickly. George Russell going for a move around the outside on Sergio Perez there into turn 1. And looks like Lando or Daniel, one of the 2 McLarens, fighting Ocon into turn 1 as well. Who's going to come out on top of this one? George Russell and Perez side by side then as we head into the lap. Who's going to come out on top? Looks like George Russell wins out this time as we go back on board with ourselves, chasing down Max Verstappen, already nearly a second ahead of us. And we're barely even halfway through this lap yet, so it's going to be a tricky one. Back down the field though, Charles Leclerc coming up for P11. overtaking Mick Schumacher with his teammate Schwartzman just behind. He's not been having the best rookie season, to be honest. He's been a bit hit and miss, but today he seems like he's got a bit of something. He's up there in P13, one of his best results. But look at this overtake. Carlos Sainz just sent one there, and a bit of contact between Lance Stroll, perhaps, and Sebastian Vettel. I think former teammates, of course. Vettel went back to AlphaTauri, but yeah, not the start he would have wanted. He's got wing damage, probably going to pit at the end of this lap and probably race over as Daniel Ricciardo looks for a move on Schwartzman down the inside. Sorry, that wasn't Schwartzman, he's on the Williams, and he did get the move done. And back on board with us, George Russell fancies a bit of second place by the looks of it, right up our gearbox as we head into the second lap. So far though, the real talking point here I think is the pace of Max Verstappen. Unbelievable pace, 2.2 seconds after 2 laps. I don't think we can win this. Not at this rate anyway. As we head further into the lap, just trying to keep George at bay, but it's a bit squibbly out of there. Race engineer wants us to use more overtake, so we oblige. George was looking for a little bit of a move there. He might have made contact there, you know. I don't know if we did, but he did drop back quite a bit, so it's entirely plausible. Anyway, on to lap 3, and Sergio Perez has caught up to Russell and started fighting, so they've cost themselves a ton of time, and that means that as the track dries, we're able to just get away in clean air and set some fastest laps. Max Verstappen set the fastest lap, and then we took it straight off him. 6.9 seconds to Ocon then. And on to lap 10, another fastest lap. And we're closing the gap ever so slightly to Verstappen. As the track dries, our car seems to hold on just a little bit better on these intermediate tyres. Now what's happening here? Max Verstappen then, lap 11, he's into the pit lane. But which compound is he going to put on? This could shape the race. He's onto softs, which means he's committing to a 2-stop because there is absolutely no way those soft tyres are going to the end. Hard for us, which is risky on a drying track, but I think if we can keep ourselves within a pit stop, we could take this on a 1-stop. Pretty much everybody else is on the soft tyre. So if we can hold those guys back, we should be laughing. At the moment, on to lap 15, we are doing so. We got the tyres up to temp. Perez is closing, but not at a rate that's really too alarming for me, because by the time he gets to me, he'll be ready for his next set of tyres. You've got to think now, we came in, lap 11 onto lap 12, so they're going to be 6 laps old. They're probably going to last 7 or 8 laps at most, if you're lucky. Although Verstappen is flying, he's 8.8 seconds ahead now. Still got to make another pit stop, and of course you lose probably about 20 seconds on a pit stop here at Canada. So, and here we go, triggering the start of the second pit stops. Ocon is in. I think he went onto soft as well, so he'll jump onto medium tyres. Verstappen will also pit for mediums, I would imagine. Lap 20, is he in? Yes, he is. You can see the top left onto the medium tyre. Here he is. Softs off, mediums go on. We come flying through, and we should have a good about 10-second gap by the time he comes out of the pits. And of course, we've already got warm tyres, so he'll have to warm those up, and we will be able to hopefully pull a bit more of a gap. Back onto the track then for Max Verstappen. George Russell's up in P3 now, also in the pit lane, and as well as Gasly and Sainz. Everyone's going onto the medium tyre, so we're a bit of an outlier here on the hards, but yeah, 9 seconds is the gap to Verstappen. And as we come round on lap 21, it is dropping slightly, but not at a massive rate, like only 0.3 per lap so far. We've got a yellow flag there somewhere. I wonder what's happened. Could that be? Yes, it could.
We need you to reduce your pace. It looks like there's a high amount of debris on the track. Be careful.
That is a safety car, and that means a free pit stop. In we. Oh, this is what happened. Was that Yuki Tsunoda there? I think just dropped it on the outside of turn 4. And Lando Norris just couldn't get out of the way in time, so he's out, and we come in for our free pit stop. We're going to lose track position to Verstappen, but that's okay. We have fresher tyres. We can nurse them in slowly up behind the safety car, and as we get racing, I was in the wrong gear then, nearly messed that up. We've got floor damage as well. That's not ideal. That's going to give us huge amounts of drag, but look at this pace. Straight down the outside. round Verstappen and into the lead of this race. Now what we got to do is manage Verstappen behind because he's so fast. And the Red Bull car is generally a bit better than ours on medium tyres. So here we go. Oh, what's going on here? Carlos Sainz down the inside of Pierre Gasly, Sergio Perez and George Russell in a single corner. That was unbelievable. But hasn't quite got George Russell on the exit. George got a way better exit, but he's right there. Pulls to the outside. Is he going to get through? This is going to be a little bit spicy, I think. Into the last corner. Oh, he just about makes it ahead. George might have another run at him though, down into turn 1. Let's stay on board with these ones. Sergio Perez is coming back as well. Down the inside, 3 abreast maybe into turn 1. That wouldn't be wise. Sergio Perez though, he's having a go. You can see there Pierre Gasly as well and Esteban fighting. Sergio Perez coming back. Side by side into the chicane. Still side by side as they come out of the chicane. This is close. Oh my goodness. Who's going to come out on top? George Russell, don't forget, was in this fight, still in this fight as well. He's going to get DRS on both of these cars. So could be a double overtake perhaps at the end of the DRS straight. Let's find out. Oh, no DRS yet, of course, because of the safety car. So no DRS at play just yet. Sergio trying to go around the outside. Carlos just about defends that one for now, I think. It's a very, very close battle from P4 pretty much down to P11 at this rate. So yeah, this could get interesting. Who's going to come out on top here? Still no DRS yet. Red Bull's very quick, but so's the Ferrari, so George Russell probably has more of a chance on Perez than Perez does on Carlos Sainz at this rate as they go through the chicane. George is right there, but we're going to go back on board with us on lap 27, and we are 6/10 ahead of Max Verstappen, so we're really not pulling out any sort of gap here, which is probably to be expected because we're both obviously on the fresh tyre. So fastest lap for us at the moment. Oh, a big slide there and a bit of contact with the wall. We're lucky not to get any more damage. Of course, nursing that floor damage is not really helping our situation. The car was very understeery off the back of that floor damage, so I'm not sure which part of the floor got damaged, but it's certainly not helping my cause as we head down into the hairpin. Max is very, very close now, especially now that we've got DRS back. We could be under threat here as we struggle to put the power down. That's never ideal. It's going to give Max a bit of a run. 3/10 at the moment, the gap, but as soon as he gets DRS, which he's got, he's going to gain. He's going to go up the inside, but we are not letting him through that easy as we go 2 by 2 into the chicane, and we just about keep ourselves ahead there. That could have been messy. Thankfully it wasn't. Fast forward then to the same point in lap 29, and Max is half a second behind. However, that DRS is super powerful, and the fact that we've just gone deep there is not going to help us. He has a little look, thinks twice, think hand back, get a bit of DRS. We're just going to have to dump ERS here to have any chance. As you can see how close Max is as he opens the rear wing. He's going to go to the right hand side and drive past us like we're not even there. Not ideal. However, if we can hold the gap, we should be able, I reckon, to get that position back. So if we play this smart, keep behind him, look after the tyres, come the end of the race, we can have another go. But we're going back on board, being right there. We almost made contact through turn 3 actually. That could have been the end of our race, but thankfully it didn't. So let's just, I reckon, try and stick behind and just see what's what. If we can keep pace, then we can have a go and overtake a bit later on. Another slide out of there. That floor damage is causing havoc. Let's put it that way. We're keeping with him though, so it's always a good sign. Definitely going to get DRS here because we almost outbrake ourselves. We do outbrake ourselves, and thankfully Max already started to turn in, because that could have been very, very messy indeed as we get DRS. Not using ERS, I need to save that. I've only got 20% left, as you can see down the bottom left. But we do crucially get closer. We're going to get a second helping. If we can get a nice exit out of this chicane, we'll be laughing. We get not a good exit at all as we wiggle about all over the track. Yes, we've only got 4 laps to go, so that's alright. We should be fine. And how we didn't end up in the wall in this race is quite frankly a miracle. And of course, with floor damage, I think, and side pod damage comes an increased risk of a failure. So hopefully it's nothing too bad. We're about to find out, I think.
Okay, we have a severe engine issue. Find a safe space to retire or return to the pits.
Never mind. That was a very anticlimactic end to what was a pretty special race, I would say. That's unfortunate. We seem to be making a bit of a habit of this, running in near the top and just not finishing.
So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sports that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
I think I can be not delighted for their race win, given that we were challenging for it, but Max Verstappen takes yet another victory in this championship. He's sort of running away with it now, to be honest. Carlos Sainz second, Sergio Perez third, so Sainz eventually came out on top of that battle, but yeah, not ideal. No points for us. That's going to be very, very costly in terms of a championship fight. I will say I think we are still in it. Just if we can get our act together for the second half of the season, then we might be alright. Esteban Ocon though finished in P7, one place lower than he started, but he still managed to get some good points, so we'll take that. DNF for us, a DNF for Lando Norris, and a DNF for Mick Schumacher. I'm not sure what happened to Mick actually. He might have been involved in the same incident as Lando was. I think he was the first car to hit the AlphaTauri, so yeah, an unfortunate one there. But yeah, 99 points for us, 43 points off the championship lead. It's still possible. Anything can happen, right? Max might have some terrible luck in the second half, or we might just find some performance and beat them on pure performance. We'll see as we head into the second half. We've got Silverstone next, which of course is our home Grand Prix, and that should be interesting. We'll see. Anyway, here's what happened. MGUK failure is the reason we had to retire today, so we should probably look at the durability of those. We've had an MGUH failure in Season 1 and an MGUK actually. So we should look at that. We seem to be having issues with our electrical components, so that's something we should probably invest in, but we'll see. As I said, Silverstone up next. We're going to be hoping for good things there. It's a good track for me. It's a good track in general. It's just a good track for racing, so yeah, that'll be interesting. Anyway, if you like this video, give us a like, leave us a little comment, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you for the next one.